This isn't about what race, what age, what gender you are. We only get one life. There's no rewind button. Make it count, make a difference. Step into your greatness. Make your path, make your own trail. This is about me and you. Us, we are, heart in the community. ਪਿਆਰ ਭਰੀ ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ You're watching Sangat Television. It's the brand new series Heart in the Community. ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਪਿਆਰ ਭਰੀ ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ Sangat Television channel 836. It's another show, another week, Heart in the Community, the show that brings you faith, culture and sport. And in today's show, I think I'm going to guarantee you guys one thing, a bit of humour. We've got two lovely guests. They're doing it big right now as we speak. And I'm sure for the next few years they're going to be taking over globally. It's the famous husband and wife team. We saw them back in 2008 on The Family, the series that took over our TV screens literally every night. For God knows how many weeks. My family, and I'm sure your family, were watching them. The Gurewals, yeah, the family. We have Sunny Gurewal and Shay Gurewal. Waheguru ji ka khalsa, Waheguru ji ki fateh, pyar bhari sat shri akal.
Thonu ji.
Such a beautiful introduction.
I know. I was thinking, who is he talking about, right? I was looking at.
Beautiful.
Kaun aa gaya andar?
Siane kehndे hunde aa, you know, beautiful people need beautiful introduction.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much.
We're really grateful. Thank you.
It's good to have you guys here, and I think out of all the guests over the years I've interviewed, especially on Sangat Television, I've never actually had presenter to presenter.
Wow. This is going to be fun. Are you going to interview us or are we going to interview
Yeah,
you?
how does that work? I mean, like, how long have you been doing it for? I mean,
I've been doing the Seva on the channel for a couple of years now.
who's your most famous? No, who's your most favourite interview that you've done?
Ooh.
That's when you should be saying Sunny and Shay.
Well, he hasn't interviewed us yet, technically.
I think Harjat Bungal.
Oh, wow.
Why?
He's very. You put me on the spot.
Yeah, I was wondering why.
He's very to your face. He
Yeah,
just
he's to the
tells you
point.
the way it is.
Nice.
Yes.
And I think especially when you're in the spotlight, you know, sometimes people, I don't know, it's a personal a take on it, but I think sometimes people can be fake, but he's not fake. He's very to the camera, and it's the same with you guys.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
this
much.
is how we are when the cameras go off, just as simple as we are when we're on the camera.
Right, humour straight away. My first question.
Yeah.
Your questions can, like, afterwards, okay?
All right.
We'll have a cup of tea and some biscuits.
Tika.
Okay, that sounds good.
From television.
Yes.
Okay, you know, it started back in 2008.
Yes, that's right.
And the family literally put you guys on the map.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, from the family, you sort of, you know, you split away as in like career-wise, and you went into radio. Why radio?
So, yeah, I mean, it's quite shocking to believe. By the time this show will be on, Sunny and I will have been celebrating 6 years of our wedding, the wedding that you saw on Channel 4.
Yeah.
And I have to say, it's been a beautiful journey the past 6 years. But before we did Channel 4 The Family, what a lot of people don't really know is that actually, around about 15 years ago, Sunny used to actually run an RSL in a radio station. So radio was Sunny's passion from the beginning. I, on the other hand, it's fair to say, kind of fell into it. And we were very lucky that there was a presenter, Jo Good, on BBC London, who really believed in us. And she was a fan of the show. She interviewed us, and it was during one of those interviews that she said, I think you two would be really good on radio, and I think this is something that you should do. We thought she was joking. We didn't really believe it, but we didn't know. We used to go on her show and do little guest spots. We would talk about film and theatre, and she got some of the BBC bosses to listen to us, and as they say,
And our interaction.
Yeah.
You know what really sort of gets me about you guys is, in a nice way, is that you're always humorous, even away from, you know, the microphones and the cameras. And I think that's like the sort of the biggest fact the factor that actually makes you guys work?
Oh, thank you very much. I mean, humor comes from life. I think if you got if you know, Vaheguru or Baba or Allah, whoever's permitted you or giving you those extra breaths that when you wake up in the morning, then why not enjoy it? And every now and then that's not possible. We, you know, on our show on BBC London, we cover a lot of issues in the first hour which affect our community, and we try to have a dialogue with the community that listen to us, and that could be we live in the United Kingdom. We're very much, me and Shay very much say we're British, and culturally we are influenced by Punjab and also Sikhi, but at the same time we are so ingrained and influenced by so many other cultures that preside in this beautiful island of ours, that it's nice to just have a conversation and highlight some things that people want to keep away from, right? So after we talk about the heavy stuff and we deal with that and we highlight it, then we talk about, in the second part of our show, is some of the fun, happy stuff, the way we want to go to sleep at night. Everyone's going to have hardships, man. It's not going to get over it.
How important is it, you know, for presenters, especially presenters like yourselves, being from ethnic minorities, to be in mainstream media? How important?
I think it's something that I've been really passionate about as a woman. I think my gender comes first and my ethnicity comes second. I really do believe that.
Very good.
And Sunny has always kind of supported me on that. So, you know, my faith is very important to me, and what I love about Sikhi, like most faiths in the world, in fact all of them, it does preach equality, you know, and I do believe in media. Sometimes women do not get the same forefront as men. I mean, it's a statistical fact that women in this country still are not paid as equally as they should be in men in the top end of the scale in any kind of job.
It's crazy though.
It's ridiculous.
21st century.
It is absolutely ridiculous. And it's something that we've talked about a lot on our show. So that's my priority firstly. I'll be honest, I have fantastic...
Stick to your guns.
Yeah, I have fantastic examples of women around me. My mum, Sunny's mum, who's also my mum, my cousin sisters, my Puajis, my Massis, all strong independent women. So I really believe that's important. After that is, of course, your ethnicity, I guess, which there's been a lot of discussion in the BBC and across the country that the fact that there is not enough diversity, and you know, one of the biggest ethnic minorities in this country is the South Asian community. So I'm really proud of the fact that Sunny and I are the first married Asian couple on mainstream radio on BBC WM in the history of BBC. To do that show Monday to Thursday, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. is something that's quite unprecedented, but we can't do that without the support of everyone who listens.
We're proud of you, you know, and I'm not just saying it, I'm not just saying it because of the cameras and the spotlights or us. We are proud of you guys, you know, honestly.
Thank you.
You know, anything on Twitter, Facebook, when I see your names come up, and the good thing about it is you guys are representing in the best way possible. And that's,
thank you. It's humbling to say that we represent anyone but ourselves, because one thing that we realized a long time ago, that I couldn't even represent my wife, even though we're a married couple, because we're so different from each other. And so if you look at on that scale, my dad will disown me in a heartbeat, because I like toys and cartoons more than I would go and watch a serious Indian serial that he loves, right? So we're so different, but we have a connection as just human beings. And if anything I want to represent is, I would say, just the human race and equality and ekta, right? Just let's get on with each other. And if we can make anyone to just think differently for 2 minutes and just get on with each other, that's the key thing. But there's so many people. When
we joined the BBC, we were victims of racism.
We were.
You know, we did have those negative comments.
Yes, we did.
But for every one person who was negative about the colour of our skin, our background, there were, 5-6 people on top of that, or percent more, who were positive. So you get the negative, but then you do get the positive, don't you?
We'll go on to the negatives on my next question. I mean, the positives. What do you find enjoyable about the radio?
I get to spend time with my best friend, and that's simple as that. And I smile because I'm with the person that I love, and I've been with her for now 11 years, and 12, this year as well. And she's always correcting me when I'm wrong, and that's quite a lot, because I like being wrong more than I like being right. But at the same time, it's just like we have a platform where we can either be selfish and just say this is Sunny Shay, or we use that platform for people who are trying to get onto that platform.
Yeah.
Like, I know there's a lot of people out there who get in touch with us and say, I can't get onto this radio station, I can't go onto that TV station, but I've got this, can you just listen to my track? We listen to it, and me and Shay go, oh my God, that's really amazing. And he's putting a lot of hard work, or she is, and we give him that platform.
That word you've mentioned there, platform, you know, you could use that across many subjects, many topics, but being involved within the entertainment industry over the years, that's one thing I've found, that it's very difficult for an artist, a musician, someone who's into sports, to actually be connected with media channels to show and portray their work. So platforms, you guys are giving a great platform.
We try our best, and we try to accommodate for everyone.
And I think that also comes under seva.
Yeah.
You know, not just looking after yourself, like you said, ekta, unity, and looking after other people, and not just bothered about yourselves.
Yeah, if you look at the way me and Shay conduct ourselves, and something that me and Shay are really proud of, we've been brought up in a certain way. We're not here for long. No. We're going to be gone. There was presenters here before. No, but I'm just saying, let's be realistic, right? Because we had presenters before us. They've come, they've done their bit. We had prime ministers, we had Maharaniya. They've all come and they did their bit, and they've gone. They're not here today.
Yeah.
So we know, while we're here, let's have fun, and let's have fun with people who are trying to do something, and they're fun as well to a certain degree. And so that actually gives us more happiness when we get a new artist who's come on. Let me give you an example of a Punjabi artist. His name is Inquisitive.
Okay.
When I found him on Instagram, I don't say found because I'm always looking on Instagram and looking at art and films and what have you. He had 500 followers. And I got in touch with him and said, could we interview you on our show on BBC London? And he goes, I'm going to Canada for my first thing, so I'm flying out this day. I said, could you come in on Sunday then? We moved things around. We literally dropped a really big name. I won't say who it is. Yeah. We moved him to the following week because he was still here. Yeah. Ink came in. We interviewed him about his artwork, about why he does what he does, and he was off to Canada. And when he came back, within 3-4 months, everybody knew about Inquisitive. And we were so happy at the fact that we gave him that, and he always said that you gave me that platform. And I said, no, we didn't. You gave yourself that platform because it's your artwork that stuck out. So we didn't do anything. We already had that show. That's irrelevant. It's you who did that. We couldn't take credit for anybody else's work or what they've done independently. I think
we just try to shine the spotlight a little bit on it. We obviously remember those times when we perhaps tried to speak to, let's say, a Channel 4 or a BBC or Sky or any of these big companies and organisations, and it can be very, very hard to get through the door. So, something that Mum always says to us, Sunny's mum, always says when we even join, she always says, I find sometimes with Apne Log, we take things very personally. And Mum's always said, you should support everybody. Whether you may or may not get on with that person personally is not the point. At the end of the day, we always help give them a spotlight, we will do that. Whether or not we may think they're the best person in the world or not is not the point. If they are an artist, a singer, a business person, whoever they are, if they need that spotlight and we can help with our show and they deserve it, then we will definitely do that.
Great. You know what? I agree fully, 110%. Back in April, Vaisakhi, Sikhs across the whole globe, we celebrate Vaisakhi. And rightly so. There was a special broadcast from the BBC. You guys were involved. From Gurdwara Sahib Guru Nanak Ji in Smethwick. I've looked at the books and the information on the internet. I think you are the only guys, only professional broadcasting channel that have actually live broadcasted from a Gurdwara Sahib.
It's true.
At Vaisakhi.
It was something we were both really, really passionate about. We went to the BBC with the idea, and actually, it must be said, we have tried our best to do the same for all of the celebrations. So whether that's for Christmas, for Vaisakhi, even for Diwali. So we try our best to do it for everybody. But we went to BBC West Midlands, BBC WM, and we said, look, it's the Sikh New Year, it's the day that we go on radio, because our radio show is 2 o'clock to 4. Can we do a live broadcast from a Gurdwara? And they said 100% we'd be happy. But we didn't want to just do it in an outside building, because they will, and this has happened in the past. You go to the Gurdwara, lekin tusi andro nahi broadcast karte, you're in an outside building. We said we want to be inside in the Langar Hall, and if we can, during the Kirtan, be inside as well, to Matta take and to be in the Darbar Sahib as well. And they said we would like to do it, but it's very difficult, because of course every Gurdwara has different committees. That's where we actually got involved. So that show was organised by Sunny and I, and you're absolutely right. It's the first ever time that a radio show for 2 hours has been fully broadcast inside the Gurdwara, both the Darbar Sahib, and it was a beautiful way for us to celebrate.
And you know what, we get asked this question, and until that day, everyone like, what was your most, who was the best person you had on the radio? What was the best thing you've ever done on radio? And now I'm so proud to say that, we had our Guru Granth Sahib live on the radio while we were broadcasting, and for me, even now, it sort of like brings a tear to my eye, because that for me is the most proudest moment. It was my grandfather and my great grandfather, all of these guys who fought and still, are very much close to my heart and echo through our generations, through our genes, our DNA. They stood for something, and I like the fact that what was, our Guru Granth Sahib has always been constant, and that's something connects me to my heritage of my Papaji, Baoji, and my Bade Daddy, who was in the army, who fought for the British government, and won the George's Cross, and he always had that faith, and that's what carried them through. And now I've been on the radio, anytime I ask me who was the most famous person that you had, I say, well, the Guru Granth Sahib was on my radio station, and I can say that, and I'm so proud of the fact that I can say that on any platform now. Forget about all these big superstars and all that. Forget about them. I've had the most praise.
It was an amazing day for us, because we got a beautiful response from the community, but also what was really lovely is, the one thing we always talk about, Sunny mentioned Ikta, it's about bringing communities together. I think the show that you do is fantastic, Heart in the Community. It is about talking about our next door neighbours who we may not necessarily know, but we all live in the same British community. So it was really lovely to hear from listeners and people who are not Asian, from English people who may know Sikh neighbours and friends, work with them, but they don't know what Vaisakhi is, what the month of Vaisakh is, what the meaning behind Vaisakhi is. So I think in that respect it was amazing that we were able to do it and do it so well.
Amazing, amazing. And we've still got the second half of the show. Just before we go into a break, we have many issues in the community, especially in the Sikh community. Certain issues, not here in the UK, across the
pond,
waters, the oceans, in the Punjab, in India. You've supported the Bapu Surat Singh.
Well, we highlighted what was going on there, definitely.
Which is great to see. I mean, like myself, we're non-practicing Sikhs. The Bapu Surat Singh Ji mission, you guys have highlighted, supported. You came on Sangat Television in a special live broadcast. How important is it, especially for people like yourself in mainstream media, to be highlighting issues like this? Because there's many people who can do exactly the same as you guys have done, and I'm sure you will in the future. And they don't bother, See,
when we looked at what's happening in Punjab, we saw it as a human rights and a human, how can I put it,
it's a human rights
issue more than anything else. If it was happening to any Muslim, if it was happening to a Jewish community, if it was happening to any community, I think it's our duty as human beings to go ahead and make noise about it. And the fact that it was happening in Punjab, and someone's highlighting that plight or what's happening to these guys who are in prison, we just wanted to get the facts so that people could have an informed decision on where they stood. Because right now, when you saw the social media post, it was Bapu Surat Singh on a hunger strike, and that's all anyone knew. This man is on a hunger strike. I want to know why What is going to be the outcome? What is he looking for? And who are these guys who are in prison? What's their background? Why are they in prison in the first place? So we discussed that on our show on BBC London. But saying that, we also have discussions like ban the burqa on BBC WM. And we've discussed those issues as well that affect the Muslim community and how they are being penalized for, expressing themselves, not culturally and religiously. So we aren't scared of talking about any kind of issues, but we make sure that we have the facts and we have the balance right when we have those discussions.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, is about having the balance. And you know what, there are those that are voiceless, and I've always believed when you work for any media outlet or organisation, you have a responsibility. You have a responsibility to raise that voice for those that cannot necessarily speak. And it's a known fact. This is not because I happen to be Punjabi, but it's a known fact that the Punjabi community, alongside Gujarati community, Kashmiri community in India, are minorities. And they are minorities within minorities, actually. If you put that into the mixing pot, if you then add in the fact that these minorities have now migrated to places like Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the UK, and even in those countries they are minorities, it is a duty for anybody to be speaking about it. I think you do make a very valid point, though, that there has been a media blackout in India with regards to the hunger strike of the American citizen Bapu Surit Singh Ji, who's 83 years old. As a journalist, as presenters, it's our duty to talk about that. As Sunny says, we don't shy away from anything. Of course, we would feel it. Perhaps I myself may relate to it and understand it because, for our show, we co-produce our show at BBC London. So our producers do look towards us. We speak the language. I read and write Punjabi. Sunny speaks Punjabi, so can I. So if we can speak directly to those communities who cannot speak English or cannot say what they want to say, then we will do that. That's why, we've received death threats off the back of talking about the issues in 1984, talking about the genocide, which Indian government has now said was a genocide in 1984. And our parents have told us, you've got to be careful, they're worried. But we don't see that as a reason not to do the work that we do. In the same way, as Sunny says, we have talked about situations in Kashmir, situations in Pakistan, situations affecting the Muslim community, the Sikh community,
the Sri Lankan community, the Tamil
because
community.
These are people who should have a voice. But I think it is a shame, I agree with you. There are particular broadcasters here in this country, in America and in India, who are not talking about it and should be.
I'm not here to slate anybody in particular, but I think it's not just broadcasters. We have many so-called role models in our community, whether it's here in the UK or across Canada, India, Australia, but they should be doing a lot more than just the odd Twitter post here and there. That's just my personal take on it.
No, see, the way me and Shay is like, I remember when this story, if we're still talking about Bapu Surit Singh, when it first came on the social media, one of our presenters covered the story, and we got a tweet saying, "Why is Sunny and Shay covering this story? You should be covering it." I went, I don't even know the full idea of what the story is about. Then I listened back to the actual broadcast. It was a 15-minute phone call, no, actually 10-minute phone call, and I didn't get anything about what's going on. I didn't understand what was going on from that 10 minutes. So that wasn't coverage. That was just like, tick the box. So if you're going to cover something, go and do your research, take a bit of time. You don't need to do it the same week as everyone else's.
No.
Do it properly. And our show, which was dedicated for an hour, went on for another half an hour because we were still touching on subjects that weren't explained properly, and that was with a professional panel who were well informed, and the questions that were coming in on Twitter, on Instagram, and on our text numbers on BBC London, we had to address them, and we didn't just say, we only got half an hour, mate, we're going to cut off here. No, we took our producer and said it might go on a bit longer, it might go a bit shorter, depending on the interaction. The interaction was quite a lot, so it went on for extra half an hour.
Very good, very good. We're joined by Sunny and Shay Guruwal, Heart in the Community, exclusively on Sangat Television Channel 836. We're going to go into a little break, maybe a cup of tea, some biscuits, I don't know, if we're lucky. Join you very, very shortly. This isn't about what race, what age, what gender you are. We only get one life. There's no rewind button. Make it count, make a difference. Step into your greatness. Make your path, make your own trail. This is about me and you. Us, we are heart in the community. ਪਿਆਰ ਭਰੀ ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ You're watching Sangat Television. It's the brand new series Heart in the Community.